Welcome to the Z Truth Podcast, where we have transparent, real, and thought-provoking conversations. Your host is Akira Casado, the author of 15 social media secrets that pay. So let's get real, get honest, and get started.
Hello, and welcome back to another exciting episode of The Truth Podcast. We are on episode 15, season 5. The season 5 is about to end, y'all. We have 5 more shows coming up, and I'm super excited about them because in these episodes, there's going to be no guests. There's going to be no filter. It's just going to be me and you and the truth. These episodes that we are going to launch are going to be raw, uncut conversations straight from the heart, from my heart to your ears. And sometimes the most impactful and powerful dialogue starts with self-reflection. And so I'm pulling up my chair to talk to all of you and about things that we often avoid: healing, heartbreak, faith, abuse, the quiet moments of transformation. And so because this isn't just any podcast, this is Z Truth Podcast. And some truths are harder than we are ready to anticipate. And again, as I mentioned in my intro, I'm the author of 15 Social Media Secrets That Pay. This book is on Amazon, y'all. And if you've never gotten a copy, you should definitely consider getting a copy because it's a very impactful book. And so let's get into it. Let's talk about the first key in truth. Our episode tonight is called Healing in Real Time. And if you missed our last show, we were talking about a young lady who just refused to die. And we named it that because she literally had a very huge triumphant story that you can go back and watch. It was very incredible. The audio was the visual was a little bit off when we went back and watched it, but the audio is on everything that you can imagine. Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, all of that. Okay. And so definitely check that last episode out. And so we want to start off with the first transparent moment, which is healing isn't always pretty. Let's talk about the ugly middle. And so one of the things that I have found in my healing journey, which I have figured out that it's definitely a never-ending journey, okay? If you want to grow and you have ever experienced any kind of trauma, it doesn't have to be direct, it could be indirect. You have to experience or go through this process called healing. And so I like to use the analogy of, a lot of you know that I play flag football. And so recently, about 2 years ago, I had a knee injury. A year before that, I had another knee injury. And so the first one was just like a scope. The second knee injury was a full ACL and meniscus repair, which took me out the game for about a year. And then, it's kind of crazy because whenever we get hurt, right, what happens is we have to not only heal, but then we got to get to the process of remembering how it was before we got healed. Who were we on the field or in life before we actually experienced this hurt, this pain? And so it's not a pretty process, because I know the first 2 to 3 months, if you would have talked to me about football, I probably would have cut you out because I'm in pain. My other parts of my life is now altered because I can't walk the same way. I'm on crutches. I have to adjust my day-to-day life. And so, it's not a pretty process when you're going through healing. And that's what you got to understand and prepare for. And a lot of times people veer away from it. And, some people might ask, well, how do you even know you need healing? I mean, whenever you have moments that trigger you, that make you go into a mode that sometimes you don't understand, that you can't even control, those are usually signs that there is some healing that needs to take place. And quite frankly, I read this book. I'm going to give it to you because I didn't plan on giving it, but it's called Secrets of Happy Families. And I read this years ago, and it was such an impactful book. But one of the key things about the book, it said, 80% of most families are dysfunctional, and only the few 20% are these happy, successful families. And so most people need to go through a healing process. Most people. And a lot of us, even when we think that we've gotten there, we will be challenged by the powers that be to see if you're really, really, really healed. And I know a lot of people like myself, I'm a Black woman in business. And one of the things that I have experienced in my demographic is that I know for me, I learned a long time ago how to work and keep working and keep working and keep working and keep working, right? And so a lot of times, we can shield the things in which we do need to focus on, that we need to lock in on as way as through our work. We can bypass it because here we are, we can experience a lot of success in all areas. And the moment that we get into romantic relationships as well as just friendships too, a lot of times people put a lot of emphasis on just romance falling apart, but a lot of people forget how detrimental friendships, just platonic friendships falling apart, girlfriends and guy friends, what do they call it, bromances falling apart, are very much on the same level as heartbreak. Probably not on the exact same level, but definitely up there, almost on the same page, right? And so a lot of times when you are not challenged in those areas where you are showing up to work in your profession, your career, like me, I'm an entrepreneur, I wear many hats, many different hats. And so sometimes what I realized in my past is that I was able to shift from one hat to the next hat, whether it's my mom hat, my football hat, my child provider hat, my author hat, whatever hat that I could find to fit that would not have me look at the other hat, which is me, which is in your case, you. You know what I mean? Outside of you, and your achievements, what are you feeling at night? What do you feel? Do you feel pressure and always having to show up to produce a certain result in order for you to feel validated, to feel like you provide something to the marketplace or even to yourself? And if you are one of those people that feel like you have to be doing something or accomplishing something, that's probably a sign that we need healing. And so let's get to the real with no filters, okay? Just facts about emotional processing, okay? The fact is that one of the hardest things to do is to see yourself, right? That was one of the hardest things for me to do, which all of us, like literally, if I write out a paper and you write them out as you're thinking, right? A lot of times you can look at the paper and not see any of your typos, but the moment you give it to somebody else, they can see it. You know what I mean? Because again, it's easy to see others ish, but it's hard and difficult to see ours. And so to step into that fire of emotional processing, and really what I learned along the way is literally training myself to remember one of a few things, okay? And one of those things was to always look within as the reason for why this is happening. Not like, oh, why is this happening to me, as if this is this foreign thing, but more so, what am I doing, thinking, and projecting that would allow these type of things to come into my space, right? Why is it that when he says this or when she says this to me, that this makes me feel this way? You know what I'm saying? When I'm in the presence of a masculine energy, how does it make me feel? Those type of questions, that type of accountability and responsibility take us to levels that we can only imagine. But it's hard because, just like going back to the injury analogy, it's not just you have to heal, right? Because I healed my knee was healed, I picked a good doctor, got his credentials. He did both of my knee surgeries. A couple of the teammates that are on my team, he's done their knees too, right? And so the credibility was there in regards to who I chose. Now, once the knee heals, now there's a process in which you have to go through that makes you challenge yourself to go back to who you were before, which is extremely difficult because, number one, a lot of times the brain makes you forget who you were before because its job is to protect you. And so it remembers the past versus remembering the fact that you are healed. Okay. And so what I mean by that is, in that process of me healing when I first got back on the field, it was like, okay, I know that my knee works because I took the test. I did the strength check, the strength training. I went through the physical therapy. I passed the test far as how far I can do it and if I can rotate on the bike and all of these different tests to say, hey, you are healed. But then when you get out there, you're now battling your mind because your mind, and you can look these things up. Don't just take it from me. Okay. Don't just think because the Truth podcast said it that you got to just take heed to it, but study the mind in which what it allows you to do. And what the mind does is it's supposed to protect you. And when it's supposed to protect you, that's why when you go back out there from whatever experience you've already experienced and you have experienced the hurt, the pain, or what have you, when you get into a new relationship after a relationship was toxic, you might think, well, this person's going to do the same thing that they did to me in the past. And you want to be careful with that because what happens, like if we go back to the football analogy, if you go back on the field thinking you're going to get hurt, guess what? You're going to get hurt. If you go back into the dating arena and you think, okay, with this next experience, I'm going to get hurt, you're going to get hurt. If you go into a friendship that you start with someone new and it's a platonic friendship and you think this person's going to get hurt and you take these trust issues and I saw something so powerful on Facebook, or it might have been Instagram. If I find the video, I will definitely share it. But the guy says on there that a lot of people who say they have trust issues, they don't really have trust issues, right? Because they're trusting that they have an issue. Like, I don't know if I'm explaining how he did, but it was such a beautiful breakdown on like, you're trusting the fact that you're going to get hurt. You're trusting the fact that you're going to be injured again. You're trusting the fact that these things will happen or possibly will happen again. So there is no such thing as trust issues because you're trusting one side of the coin, which is that there are more good people than there are bad versus there are more bad people than there are good. But whatever paradigm you decide to choose, you are trusting something. Okay, that's just something that just came to mind. So again, just facts. This is just facts about no filters about how it is. One of the things that's really painful about healing is that they don't tell you that most people are not on that journey. I already said that most people have a problem with looking at self and seeing self. But then on top of that, when you are one of those people that are in this emotional processing of self, you literally, I mean, literally feel alone. Okay. Because most people are not doing that process because of how difficult it is. But much is given, much is rewarded. Okay. And so the ones who do go through that fire, that do say to self, even in situations sometimes that you know that you did not warrant this reaction or this result, right? That wasn't your intention, but some things are not all about intention. For example, if somebody wants to if I pray or say, hey, I want to manifest being a better manager in regards to finances, then the only way to know if it's really working is if you get into a challenge where you can get out of it. Can I manage this? Because if I'm going to become a better manager, then I'm going to give. You get what I'm saying? If I want to learn how to get through adversity, I got to get adversity to get through it. Okay. I hope that wasn't a tongue twister, but that's some of the things that I wanted to talk about with the emotional processes side. What the main topic, which is the true raw truth about what it means to heal, and how those things look. Okay. And so now let's get into our unbiased, and I'm going to give a break in between the next T that I want to talk about, which is a question to all of you. All healing journeys are valid. Okay. Don't ever look at this person and look down on this person because I always look at it like the Pokemon. I don't know. I can't help but talk about kids, right? But y'all remember Pokemon, every time a Pokemon would fight, they would go another level. Okay, she's at level 20, she's at level 5, she's at level 6. Never compare yourself to anybody because that's literally something that will bury you because you don't know what this person went through to get to the blessings that they had. You don't know what they're overcoming right at that very moment. You don't know what they overcame in the past. And so sometimes it's just somebody else's time. I've never been the person that would look at it and go, well, why not me? It's not about why not you. It's about when will it be me? And let me study and see how other people's reactions are when it is their time. Because just because it's your time now don't mean it's going to stay your time. Okay. And so when you have those moments when it feels like you have momentum in life, you have momentum in almost every area of life, then you got to also expect the fact that more challenges are going to come because that's just the way it works. Everybody don't make it because only the strong survive. I'm sorry to say it, but it's the truth. It's again, if you want I'm trying to think of an analogy. It's like I know this saying that this quote I love, but it's escaping me. It's going to come back to me before the end of the show, and when it does, I'm going to tell it to y'all. Okay, but all healing journeys are very valid. Okay, and so don't look at this person's journey from a downward. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you do have to take your journey on its own. Most people take their journeys on their own. It's just a blessing if you can do both. Like a lot of people ask the question, well, can you date and heal? Should you look for new friendships while you're healing? I do think there is a way to do that, but it also has to be a situation where it's not going to distract you from the process because the process is a process. Journey is not tomorrow. A journey is a constant, consistent thing. And so I do believe that it's possible because there's no way to completely say, because I feel like the moment that you stop learning, whether it's about your profession, your skill, and the most important thing about self, then that's when you begin to age. That's when you start to become old, when you stop growing, when you stop looking for better ways to do things for yourself, for your career, for your profession. If the moment you stop is the moment that you begin to get old. Okay. And I know I repeated that, but I wanted to repeat it again because the journey never ends, y'all. Okay. It never, ever ends. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is go into a thought provoking question. But before I do, I just want to give an announcement to an up and coming event. Y'all, I need y'all to stop, pause, and connect with Pick'em Pros on YouTube, Facebook, as well as Instagram. This is one of our sponsors for Gridiron Gang, and I'm also told them I'm going to be promoting them on Z Truth Podcast as well. And so they have an event coming up on June 7th. I actually will be there speaking, so that's going to be extremely exciting. So I'm excited to share about flag football there as well. But most importantly, this event is going to be lit. We have exclusive tickets for our network only. And so if you would like to get tickets, they're going to sell out fast. They're $30, full buffet at King's. Y'all know about King's Bowling and Entertainment Hall. But it's going to be at King's. It comes with food, a drink ticket, free bowling for the whole event. And we get kicked off, I believe, at 6:30 on June the 7th. So if you are watching this, we'll make sure that you get the clips so that you know that you need to be in that building and definitely connect with Pick'em Pros. I'm telling y'all, it's a father-son podcast, sporting spot podcast. I love what they're doing, and it's going to keep continuing to grow. All right. So going back to my thought-provoking question, I want to put out to all of you that's listening: are we rushing forgiveness, for closure, or for peace? And someone sent this question in for me because I put out to our network like, hey, do y'all have some thought provoking questions in regards to real time healing, right? And so one of these questions came in. And I thought it was an interesting question because at the end of the day, um, like the title is, what does forgiveness really look like? So I'm going to give you my perspective, but I still want to hear from y'all. I definitely want to hear, what do you think there's a such thing as rushing forgiveness for closure or for peace? So if I had a choice between the two, I would do it for peace because, which I guess in some forms could be closure as well, because the reality is that forgiveness is not for you. forgiveness, I mean, for them, forgiveness is for you. When we are not in a state of forgiveness, we are in a state of something else emotionally, whether it's anger, sadness, depression, hate, something that we're holding on to. And so I do believe that we should be. I don't know if that's the question is worded the best way, but we should be in a rush to forgive because for us, the closer and the faster we can get there. Like I'll never forget when I was watching one of these true crime movies, right? Or shows. It was a real show. I mean, a real story. And the woman, son was killed, and the woman forgave the killer, went to his hearing and gave a speech that was basically pleading for him, not because her not caring about her son, but literally because she wanted to let go and make her son's name not just go in vain, and knew and understood in a way that a lot of people couldn't understand in that moment because you killed my son, right? And so it was a very humbling thing to see someone do that. And because if she now I'm gonna be honest with you, if it was me, I don't know if I could do that. I would hope I could. Um, but I actually recently had a situation in flag, first time ever in 8 years, that I actually had someone hit me in flag, like not a legal hit. They punched me, right, y'all? And those of you who knew me in the past, especially from New Jersey, you just can't hit people. You just cannot. You cannot hit people. And the part that was kind of like troubling for me, which I didn't even think would really affect me too much, was that, like this person, I spoke to him, I don't have a personal issue with this person, it just kind of, I guess she maybe got overheated. And I know I did. I know for me, where I'm from, you can't do that. You just cannot do that. And that's never okay. Now, is there a better way to handle that situation on my end? I don't know. I have seen players do things differently. I don't even know, like if someone hit you in the face, I know some people can go like this. I don't know if I'm that person, or even if I ever want to aspire to be that person, unless I do something that would offend that person in a situation, in a sense that would invoke that, But at the end of the day, I know when I saw her, it made for the first time after, I just look like, I don't have anything towards this person. You know what I mean? I've moved on. And when you are able to move on from things like this and not hold these grudges against people, especially the ones who may have come at you for whatever things that's going on in their minds. Because sometimes, and not even sometimes, most of all the times, it's not about you. It really isn't. If you've never read the book, The Four Agreements, it says you should take nothing personal. He even goes in so deep in that book that he says that even if somebody tried to shoot you in the head, you can't take it personal because whatever triggered them to want to get to a point of being so fatal has nothing, there's nothing that you could have done. You could have been antagonizing them, you could have triggered it, but that's still their decision. And again, that doesn't have any really thing to do with you, except for that you're the person on the other end of the barrel, right? And so you would have to read the book because he explains it totally different. But again, I don't think I don't personally, but I want to hear from y'all. Are we rushing forgiveness for closure? Or are we doing it for peace? Hopefully for both, because I feel like they do is one and the same. So to end those podcasts and this show, and again, I want to give a shout out to all of you who have been very supportive. Like I said, these next 5 shows are going to be very impactful in the areas of powerful dialogue that I want to sit down and talk to you about, which is healing, heartbreak, faith, abuse, the quiet moments of transformation. Because, I can truly say, looking back, there is many things in which I would have done differently in the past that I definitely show up differently now, including that situation I just shared as well. So, our holistic moment, your mind, body, soul, healing affects every part of your body. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of my girl, Lois Hay. She has a book called, I think I have it right here. Do I have it right here? Let me see. Yes, I do. I do have it. I can't believe it's right here. It just makes sense that it would be right here. But this is Lois Hay's book, and I really love it because it says you can heal your life. God rest Lois Hay's soul. But she goes into really deep. Like there's a part in the back of the book where she has like different areas of the body in which we are affected. And it's so crazy that this just fell out because this came from one of my knee injury wound strips. I didn't even know it was in here. But like, let's say if you're having issues with your veins, or if you have issues with your shoulders, like she goes in. And some people are like, well, is that even true? I mean, at the end of the day, will it hurt to just read the book, right? So she goes over all these different things and elements, back pains, and what does that actually mean for your life? And then she gives you a mantra or an affirmation that can revert that. So if you're having back pain, let me see what it says for back pain. Let me see. I'm having back pain. I'm having a little back pain. Okay, so this says, oh, back problems. The lower back is a sign of fear of money or lack of financial support. I trust it. And then what you would convert to counter that is I trust the process of life and all I need is always taken care of and I am safe. Like these are the type of things that are in this book. The middle, which could be a stem from guilt, which is stuck in all that stuck back there. Get off my back. I release the past and I am free to move forward with love in my heart. So it's a really good book. Now, granted, I am a center in a flag football team, so some of this could be from that, but that could be me fighting the fact that that could be true. Like it says, upper back, lack of emotional support, feeling unloved, and holding back love. So to counter that, you would say, I love and approve myself. Life supports and loves me. Okay. So get the book, y'all. I do recommend this. It was very instrumental for me. I also want to tell you about a really up and coming event that I'm excited about, which is on June the 8th from 2 to 4:30 in Raleigh, North Carolina. Tickets are on sale now. If you are watching Z Truth Podcast, you can get $10 off on your VIP or generic ticket. It's going to be in person in Raleigh, North Carolina. We are going to open up virtual outside of the state for selected individuals, but it's still the same pricing. But if you watch it from here, you can get $10 off a ticket using Z Truth Podcast in the section. So definitely, if you're looking for this, is called monetizing your content. Okay, this event is going to be incredible. I'm ecstatic because it's been a while since I've actually been out there teaching. I mean, I was out there for the Girl Scouts event last month. Shout out to Girl Scouts in North Carolina, the Pine region. I thank you guys so much for having me there at that event. It feels so good to be chosen to speak, and you feeling the need. I always tell people, don't get excited when people just tell you look good, smell good, or you do things good. Get excited about the fact when they pay you. Okay. Can we keep it real? Be excited when they actually send you a check, because that's when it really counts. That's when they really support you and feel like you are valuable, just like how you're going to get these tickets. And so if you find us to be valuable and you want to take heed to to really what we're going to be talking about, which is mastering and monitor. Oh my gosh. Mastering and monetizing your media is going to be one of the biggest events that I've ever done. The regular price tickets are $38 and VIP is $61. You can go to zglobalmedia.com to get all of the ins and outs on what to expect. But we're going to be talking about everything, giving out workbooks, breaking down the 15 social media secrets that pay. Again, this book has been blessing a lot of people. I've been getting so many testimonies, and this is the second edition that's out. And so definitely, y'all, if you're trying to make some things happen and you want to learn some of the ways in which some of us do it, then definitely come out, because 80% is all showing up. So I, again, want to thank you guys for all of your support. I'm going to come back next week with another exciting show. Again, you can follow us on all major platforms: Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, Amazon Music, IG, Facebook, and YouTube. If you want the visual, it is exclusively on YouTube. So please subscribe, like and subscribe. And so I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys for joining us. And always remember to live your week with nothing but love, peace, and hair grease. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Z Truth Podcast. We hope today's episode gave you value and something new to think about. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and join the conversation by following us on all platforms. Sharing is caring, so do us a favor and share it with someone who needs to hear the truth.